So hopefully more individuals will join as we go. Good evening. I am Alex Neal, a Minority Health and Equity Specialist with the Nevada Office of Minority Health and Equity. And we are beginning a series on engaging families in educations. Our first event is highlighting the Cooperative Developmental Energy Program. And we are hosting this event physically at the Leaders in Training. Yes, the UNLV presenters are here. We, at the Leaders in Training building in East Las Vegas. I just wanted to give the floor for a brief second to Yvette, who will give insight onto their wonderful nonprofit and say thank you for letting us be.
Hi, I'm Yvette Aguirre. I am the program C10 manager, which means I manage the freshmen. So we are a local nonprofit organization that helps empower first generation and low-income students to get into college. So we are all about equity, making leaders and making sure that our leaders come back into the community with positions of power to help make a change. So if you guys know any high school students from 9th to 10th grade, please let us know. And our offices are at North Lamb. Thank you.
Okay, so to get started, and to let everyone on Zoom know, is that we have a few students in the room. It's so hard. Their screen is projecting up, which is why I keep looking up, but the laptop is right in front of me. And so I'm gonna be interacting with the students in the room. We also have the speakers who will be interacting with the students in the room, as well as anyone who has questions online. So, sorry, I'm making sure that everyone in Zoom can hear me. So I'm connected to the Zoom through my phone. And it's always weird hearing yourself in the feedback. It's very interesting. For those in the room and on Zoom, and you do, yeah, for those in the room and on Zoom, I was going to limit some people from answering those questions. First, I want to ask if you've ever heard of Fort Valley State University before today. Okay, and if you're on Zoom, you can utilize the reactions and the emojis. Second question, have you heard of UNLV before today? Yeah, that's a clear yes here in the room. Okay, so Fort Valley State University is a land grant institution and historically Black university. And do you know what a historically Black university is? No. Okay, let's bring it all the way back to the basics. So historically Black institutions or historically Black colleges and universities were created after the Civil War. With some technically starting as like technical schools prior to the Civil War, but majority after the Civil War for people who could not go to the institutions that were around at the time. And those are commonly referred to as predominantly white institutions or PWIs. Majority of the tenants behind us would fall into the PWI category and not historically Black college and or university. So Fort Valley began in 1895. Yes, 1895 as a technical school. In the 90s, it became a university. There's a process between that we don't have to delve into. The other part of it being a land grant institution is that the United States decided that it would be really important to help us with agriculture. And agriculture is just, well, it's essential. You literally can't live without investing into your agriculture and investing into the system that does plants and all things related to plants, like pharmaceuticals and food. So Fort Valley was awarded a whole bunch of land and was basically asked to make sure that agriculture was a big part of the school at some way, shape, or form. So my degree, my bachelor's degree was in animal science, which was under the College of Agriculture. But other degrees, just like biology and chemistry, psychology, history, the normal ones that you remember exist, although today we'll be focusing on the science, technology, engineering, math, really the hard science, technology, engineering, and math programs. If you are interested in the CDEP program, which we'll discuss further today through our speakers, you first have to apply to Fort Valley, as the program is hosted at Fort Valley, meaning that, have you heard of the Millennial Scholarship? Okay, so you know how like you can only go to schools in Nevada with the Millennial Scholarship? So CDEP is a program and internship, it's a whole, it's really more than just a program. It seems like an understatement that you can only utilize if you apply and get accepted into and go to Fort Valley. And then from there, you would go to partnership institutions. So one last clarifying question, and then we'll really kick this thing off. Repeat your grades again. 11th, right? Which you're about to graduate. Okay. 9th. Okay, so we have, he's the ride. So we have a range in grades in this high school, right? And then the last thing is, do you think you know what you want to do when you go to college? Yes, what is it?
Oh.
That's okay, kind of knows, okay. 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 Discuss that more later. Okay. Well, because now we're gonna ask the others and then we'll come back to that later. Because there's a lot of things you could do with that. Maybe you might be interested in kinesiology. Study of movement in the human body. That's like a very general way to describe it, but yeah, you have to know. Yeah, we'll get to that. So, do you happen to know or have an idea of what you want to do when you go to college? Okay. What about you? You don't want to attend college? Okay. That's okay. Well, we'll see how you feel after we have this talk today. You may feel the same, and if you do, that's okay, and you may not. Yes. Well, let's see who's on Zoom. Everyone on Zoom has already gone to college. Yes. So that, to give you a general gist on Fort Valley, I'm gonna return to talk about the admissions process. I think it would be very helpful for you to hear about what is the Cooperative Developmental Energy Program and the different pipelines that exist for students like you guys. So I'm going to ask Dr. J or Dr. Jazerska to come up. And yes, so Dr. Jazerska is going to speak about the partnership between Fort Valley State University and UNLV and a few other opportunities as well. And the reason why I wanted to come back to the admissions part is because
We have students here.
we have students here and it's Oh,
Did
let
you
me-
cancel this?
no, I didn't cancel this. Somebody was trying to join through Microsoft Teams. So this, I think it will require more in-depth conversation. I kind of want you guys to get all the information and then we really explore together what's out there for you guys and not just talk at you, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna step.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm Dr. Joanna Ciesielska, but everybody calls me Dr. J. Believe me, I have two last names and one is harder than the other. So Dr. J is fine. And from what I've heard already from students in this room, you are in ninth grade, yes, and you don't know what you're gonna be doing with life in the future. Good, because that's why I'm here for today. So if you have any questions, find me. You already have my information. Find me, we can talk so we can actually build your life together in your career. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you about phenomenal scholarship opportunity and the program that we've been together for over 30 years. UNLV is the first partner institution that signed up a contract with Fort Valley State University back in 1992. But before we signed the contract, let me tell you a little bit about the program. So I represent not just UNLV, but also multicultural program for STEM and health sciences. That program was established back in 1989 by Professor Eugene McGaw, who was our professor of electrical engineering at UNLV. He was the only one minority professor at UNLV back then. So he saw a need, a huge need to recruit minority students to engineering programs and women. So that was the idea behind. Then the name behind the program was a Minority Engineering Program. So he established 33 years ago Minority Engineering Program, which right now I run. And I've been running since 2013, and it's my privilege and honor to do so, because why? I'm learning with phenomenal students, phenomenal, and you will understand why. Fort Valley Scholarship Program. UNLV, once we signed the agreement back in 1992, since then, we transferred 78 students. And if you can imagine, do you know which is the national graduation rate in STEM programs? It's usually low, around 50 to 46. It varies from year to year. In my program from UNLV, in this particular scholarship program, this graduation rate is, can you take a guess? Give me a number, percentage. Or 95.7%. Well, that means almost every student coming through that pipeline graduates, yes? And graduates with really colorful colors, guys. With great GPA, high GPAs. Everybody who gets to that program graduates. So you have to understand, this is something that I'm very proud of being in charge of at UNLV. So what happens when you get to Fort Valley on a scholarship, and I meet those students when they come to the pipeline in high school. Every single year I go to Fort Valley because we do have a college fair and a career fair and a consortium meeting. So all partnering schools right now, and I think we have like 7 universities across the country. We all meet and we talk, we discuss all the terms of agreements and so forth. We just meet each other, but also what's the most important thing, we meet all our students and prospective students. We all meet our students and their parents. We make connections. We build our relationships. We, of course, every single university encourages their students to select partnering institutions. So you can imagine it's a stiff competition because every single school now we're trying to convey and convince students that we are the best. We meet students. So we make that connection. We meet those students, UNLV, we meet them when they are raising sophomores in high school. So I met my first cohort group in 2013. You will meet some of them here today because they are current students at UNLV. They will be graduating soon. So I met my first group of students back in 2013 when they were raising sophomores in high school. And then I have not met them until they got onto the scholarship at Fort Valley. And then I met them every single year when they were there for 3 years. The program runs 3+2. It means they spend 3 years at Fort Valley. They study one major, either mathematics, chemistry, or biology, and they graduate at that point with a bachelor's degree at Fort Valley, and they're ready to transfer to an institution of their choice. Those who choose UNLV, they come to us, and they have 2 years to choose another bachelor's degree. And they either come to us, study engineering, geophysics, or geoscience. So within 5 years, they graduate with 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 of them. So within all those 30, who will do the math? Since 1992, we have 78 students transferred. We graduated, that's my cheat sheet, guys, because I'm not gonna guess. I don't wanna remember. We have 55 engineers, 10 health physicists, and 2 geoscientists. We had 28 electrical engineers, just to kind of give you an idea with the distribution of majors. 13 civil engineers. We have 2 computer scientists. We have 8 mechanical engineers, and so forth. So you can have an idea. Yes. So we offer at UNLV geoscience, health physics, and variety of majors within engineering, College of Engineers. My program, we are the liaison. So when they come at UNLV, they also become members of a variety of student organizations. I'm a faculty advisor for right now 8 of them. We have National Society of Black Engineers. We have Society of Women Engineers, SHIP, which stands for Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. We have Engineers Without Borders. We have Scientista Foundation. That's a bunch of them. I'm pretty sure I'm missing something. We also have students go to national conferences. I'm helping them with internships, getting a lot of part-time jobs, or also placing them in full-time positions. We have a lot of great workforce business partners who work with our students. They provide support, also professional training on a job. So then I'll bring them paid internships, but also come to us and provide trainings and professional development in case of soft skill. Do you know what a soft skill is? No idea. At the university college setting, we will teach you every single thing what you need to know about your career, academic. Yes, all the education that you need to know. But soft skill could be public speaking. Yes, because you better know how to speak in public. We will teach you how to write grant writing. We will teach you how to manage, to become a great manager, so leadership skills. This is all about soft skills. Right now, the employment market is very difficult. You will be competing sometimes for your dream job with a lot of people who will have way more education than you do, way more experience than you do, and they may have more experience than you do. So that's why in college, it's so important that you have certain certification according to your career, that you do have a lot of soft skills. So with all of this you can get additionally to your major. So our business partners like Tracy Scott, who is gonna talk right after me, also she provides to my students, which we always quite frequently we invite her to speak as a guest speaker. So she meets with my students and she just provides this kind of training. So I guess Tracy, it's your time to talk about. And Tracy, by the way, is also alumna of this pipeline. So she graduated from Fort Valley State University, and she also finished that scholarship program. So thank you so much. Let's go.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to have to remember to keep looking down at this. So thank you for having me today. I am a graduate of the CDEP program. I was recruited. I still don't know how they found me, but I am so thankful for the life I've been afforded from them finding me. When Fort Valley is in Georgia, and when they found me, I was actually in Las Vegas. My father was an employee of the U.S. Geological Survey, which is a federal um, department, and we had moved from Miami. I'm originally from Florida. We're all from Florida, and we had moved out here, and I went to high school in Las Vegas. So I figured out fairly early. My older brother graduated, and he had a full ride baseball scholarship. And that was the way to go to school in our college, in our family. We didn't have the college fund. They didn't get the Gerber plan when we were born and save this money. And so in order to go to college, I had to find a way to get there, a means to get there. And I was a cheerleader, a competitive cheerleader and a competitive gymnast, and they weren't giving out full scholarships for that. So I decided early on that I need to keep my grades up. So when I was graduating, I had above a 4.0. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I wanted to major in. So when you don't know, it's okay not knowing. However, I figured out really quickly when I started applying it for colleges, and even with an above a 4.0, I can't remember exactly what I had, but it was above a 4.0. What these schools were offering me were what they deemed to be something that was encouraging to me. But if you are charging $22,000 a semester and you're giving me a $5,000 scholarship to come out to you, and you'll see about how I work out my freshman year to see if you want to give me more, that wasn't an opportunity that my dad was going to allow me to take. So long story short, Fort Valley came out and they sat us down and they offered this phenomenal plan. They offered 2 degrees, 2 awesome degrees. A lot of times your degree might not land you a job, because a degree is a degree, but getting into the workforce is a whole nother story. So they came out and they said, okay, we're going to, number one, she's going to come to Fort Valley State. I loved it. My whole family went to HBCUs. My dad's a graduate of FAMU. My brother went to Norfolk State. So I was like, yes, I want to go to an HBCU. That's just in our bloodline. And you're going to come out here, you're going to get a degree. You're going to major in math. Every summer, you're going to get a paid internship. A lot of internships aren't paid. And not just an internship with your local Target. I'm not saying Target is a bad place, but it's an internship in your field. So we're going to do what is like a day, and we're going to have all these recruiters come. And these recruiters are going to work for these major companies like Conoco, Shell, GE, GM, all of these different places, but they're going to look just like you. So you can see yourself with what we're going to offer you can be. We're not going to bring somebody that doesn't look like you. And they had this way that they did this every so often, I would say, throughout my time there. When you're kind of feeling unconfident, I've had a couple of hard classes, I don't really know if I can do this, maybe I'm not smart enough for this. They had these massive days where they would bring all these major players at all these companies, and they give you a program. And if you didn't feel fired up after that program, you didn't go, because it encouraged you. And it was so strategically placed that it was phenomenal how they did this program. And I was at the beginning of the program. And so I can only imagine now how it has increased since then. I graduated high school from Valley High School out here in 1991. That's before they had all of these other high schools. I went to Fort Valley State, had a phenomenal time. And it was a family. So I left my house. I went 3,000 miles away. I'm the only girl in my family. I'm the baby. And I went away to school, and they promised my dad it would be a family enterprise. They cared for me. They cared about every part of it. They cared about my grades, but they also cared about how I was doing. If I was having a hard time, if I was struggling, I could go to them and get the love of a family when I was away from it, because it was a foreign place for me. And so went through that. They put everything in place. You will have tutors. You have the ability to, I mean, you're only going to fail at this if you just don't try. And so then I came out to UNLV. When I came out to UNLV, at that time, they would only allow you to major in electrical engineering. Well, I tried that and not a fan of it. So I asked, is it okay if I stick with engineering, but what about civil engineering? And at that time, when you're at the beginning at UNLV, there's an exploratory engineering program, and they kind of get you familiar with all the other engineering programs. And so I graduated with my civil degree in engineering. But throughout that time, like my first summer there, when I came back, these paid internships, another thing that's magical about them, outside if you get money for them, is that you don't have to go where you're from. You can go anywhere. There's a host family there that supports CDEP, and you can stay with them. That's a place they make sure you get to work. They make sure that you have a nice, safe place to stay, to eat. One thing about this program, it's built with a lot of support systems. So that was awesome. You don't have to be, and it's not where you go with an internship and you have to owe them some of your time. Some internships say, okay, if we're going to give you some money and you're going to be here for 3 months, when you graduate, you owe us this amount of time. That was something else that the program afforded us. And it was a lot of scholarships. I have 3 sons. I have a set of twins, and they are currently juniors at UNLV. And I have an older son who'll be 27, so he's graduated out of UNLV. But let me tell you something about scholarships. A full ride is not what they say. I know that for me, Fort Valley, a full ride meant my books were covered. Sometimes books can be $1,000. Having 3 sons and going through college, books can be very expensive, and that's not covered in the scholarships, not the ones that they got. So looking at this now, I've been talking to Dr. J and hearing about all these other options you have, the health science and everything like that, that Fort Valley affords you, and the different other partnerships. I mean, it's a phenomenal program. I wish more schools partnered like that. I believe that we would have more graduates, and we would have more students and more people in general that weren't discouraged about college. College can be intimidating if there's not a resource there to go through, to sit down. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of meeting deadlines. It's a lot of upfront money for applications. And my sons, I know that they were probably about needing a hand replacement because they wrote so many essays for scholarships. And I told them, every scholarship you're not going to get. So go in there knowing, and they got so good at it that literally they are juniors and they make money. They have scholarships going to school. When I was on the CDEP program, even though I went back to Georgia, when I came out to out to UNLV, my Millennium Scholarship kicked in. And they re-upped me all those years that I wasn't here. Something I did not see coming. So what I can say, since you're in 9th grade, is just keep your grades up. This is when it matters. This is when it counts. While you can't go back and redo your junior high school years, this is time to start anew and to start putting your focus in those classes, and to get to where you know that I always tell my sons, you live this life, yes, you live it with people, but how your individual life affects you is by yourself. I remember Dr. Crumley had told us, you can be here for a reason or a season, and that stuck with me. And when I went there as a freshman, I didn't understand what he was saying until after our first semester, our first quarter. At that point, see, I went to Fort Valley when it was a college. So it was Fort Valley FBSC. But while I was in college, even though this was a tough major and it required me to focus and it required me to keep my GPA up, I still had an amazing college experience. I was a part of the band. I was a dancing doll. I got to pledge a sorority. It gave me the full of everything. So if I could tell you anything, college doesn't mean that your life stops. I know sometimes you're like, I'm going to get to high school, I'm going to graduate so I can live my life. College is be with this program 6 years where you get to live your best life, because you have freedom, but you also have this is the last time where someone's going to finance your life. This is the last time of your life where you're going to get 3 months off. This is it. So live it up, but go there because it's going to make the remainder of your years. Another thing he said is you can work hard for 4 to 6 years, well, the program 6 years, to live an easy rest of your life. Or you can take it easy these years right after high school and have a hard rest of your life. I retire in 10 years and I am going to have the life that I have is amazing, and it's because of this program. The life I've been able to provide to my children, to my sons, has been phenomenal. And it's because of this. I have one amazingly paying job. that affords me the ability to give them the best health insurance, medical insurance, and the experiences that they have in life. So it's about planning right now. It just takes a little bit of a sacrifice to put towards your education. So that's my experience in CDEP. I am a fan of the program. I am always willing to come and speak about them because, like I said, to this day, I don't know how they found me, but I thank God that they did.
So I saw that Dr. Crumley came online. Before we have our current students speak, I wanted to give, hi, Dr. Crumley. I wanted to give you a chance to speak. You are projected on the screen right now, which is why I'm looking up, even though I should be looking down.
Hello, how are you doing?
We're good.
Okay, great. Thank you for allowing, well, frankly, I think Tracy did such an excellent job. I'm just joining in, and my wife and I were out, and we're just getting in so that we could, join the program. But first of all, let me thank you for everything that you're doing on that particular end. I don't know, I joined Tracy in the maybe our last 10 minutes, so I don't know what you said during the introduction, but I am here to answer any questions. I agree with her when she's talked about the CDEP program. I think it's, well, matter of fact, I know it's one of a kind. We'll certainly invite the students to take advantage of this. But let me just simply stop right there, and then let me get the rest of the program, and maybe people have some more questions. Also have Ms. Rashidi on as well. So we're here, both of us, to answer any questions. But thank you very much for everything you're doing. Okay.
Okay, thank you. In the beginning of our session today, we deferred talk about the admission requirements towards the end, based on some preliminary icebreaker questions that we had with the students in the room.
Okay.
And I know that there's a 3-hour time difference right now.
Right.
So if there's anything that you would like to talk about in regards to the admission process, Fort Valley State University, your experience as directors and administrators of CDEP on that end, for students that are in 9th and 11th grade, please feel free to share. I will also ask them if they have any questions at this point.
Okay. All right. Absolutely.
You guys heard a lot in a very short period of time. You haven't really covered all of it. Do you have any questions?
So, am I to continue right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
If you
good.
don't have any questions.
Okay. Well, let me just start with the 8th graders.
They're 9th grade.
Oh, they're 9th grade now?
9th grade now.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they're missed in MC then, if they're 9th grade. Okay. All right. The MC is the pre-college program. I think I heard what Tracy said, that, we want you to have fun. You're in the 9th grade, but always think about where you think you really want to go. Let's see, if you're 9th grade, you're probably how old now? Maybe 14? Maybe, yeah, 14 years old. Let's think about 10 years down the road. And I remember when I was 14, and somebody said 10 years from now, I thought that was forever. because, it just seemed like I had, 10 years was just a eons of time, but it'll really come before you really know it. And I know how ninth grade, you're just getting into high school, and you're really beginning to have some fun. You're probably in the band, or you're beginning to play sports as well. And high school you should enjoy. But when you're in that classroom, I think you really should pay attention. And so life is always about preparation. If you do a good job in the ninth grade, you make the 10th grade classes easier. And when you're in the 10th grade, do the best that you possibly can, because it makes you understand the 11th grade courses better. And then, of course, finally, your 12th grade year, you really want to do well, because from what Tracy was saying, if you can get scholarships, that really makes it good. If you can, your parents are kind of struggling, well, not necessarily struggling, but they're trying to make ends meet. They want you to have fun. But if you can get scholarships, and all you have to do to get scholarships is really just to study, then it's a possibility that if you get a full ride, who knows, they might be able to buy or an automobile for you. And all of that is because you took care of business and, you got a scholarship. So they can say, well, I don't have to put money on the scholarship. He or she has done well in the classes. Let me just maybe we can get a car to let them go to college in. But even when you get in college, frankly, I would not suggest that you even take your car to college your freshman year in college, because you need to get adjusted again. You will have just left high school when you were the man or the woman on campus. You were the big person. But when you go to college, all of a sudden you are a freshman. You're back the lowest on the totem pole. So you really got to make some adjustments again. But my whole thing here is for you to just make sure that you focus on getting your lesson. And that to me is the most important thing. It's the best advice that I can get, I can give you. Because how well you perform in school, high school, may very well determine your outcome and outlook for the rest of your life. So those are my comments, Ms. Neal.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Crumbly. Do you have a question? So the program manager for the Office of Minority Health and Equity had a question. If you speak loudly.
Yeah, because I couldn't hear.
Dr. Crumbly.
Dr. Crumley,
Yes,
thank you so much for being here and doing this. And I wondered if you could help clarify a question that I have.
Okay.
I've been hearing information from various sources about the status for standardized testing and the role it's going to play for college admissions.
Right.
Talk about where that stands right now and the expectations for your university for admissions.
Well, first of all, we are part of the University System of Georgia, and we have relaxed, the standardized tests, as a component of, for admission. However, for the CDEP scholarship, we still ask the students to take the ACT or the SAT. because we still use that as a criteria. It does not, I'll put it this way. It really helps to know that you have made a good score on it. I would say that if you got good grades, then and especially in math and science on your transcript, the score that you make on the ACT or SAT will not be a big factor. It will not be a game changer for you getting the scholarship. It may, let's say we got X number of scholarships and we got 2 students that are essentially the same grades and everything, but one might have scored slightly better than the other on SAT or what have you, or the ACT. That would help us to make the decision. So, we still recommend that the students take the SAT or the ACT, but it's not going to be a game changer, particularly if your grades are very good and particularly sound in math and science classes. I hope that answered your concerns.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yes. So at this point, let's bring up Diamond. Oh, sorry, that's true. We'll bring up somebody else. Oh, okay. We're gonna have one of the, a few of the current CDEP students speak, and then we're gonna go back to the admissions process and some of the more logistical information. I expect that we'll definitely wrap up early unless there's something that you or Ms. Rashidi would like to add in right now. Because I know that it's 9:23 p.m. and so I don't want to keep you longer than I have to.
Well, I think I've said what, not unless there are some questions. Maybe as Ms. Rashidi is also on, if she'd note that I might have overlooked something or might have not said, she can feel free to comment if she wishes.
No, I think you covered everything, Dr. Crumley. As far as the SAT score, we do require an 1170 on the SAT with at least 570 in the math, or a 26 on the ACT. So those are the actual scores, which are actually a lot higher than what the university requires.
Yes.
So what I will do in the chat, I will put a link in the chat that has the information, at least the website for Fort Valley State. And it's pretty detailed as far as what the requirements are. And it steps you through every single thing that needs to occur for the admissions process. So I will do that.
Thank you.
If you'd like me to do that.
Yes, please. I did have one question because we do have a student here he's 11th grade, he's graduating early, and he has a 3.7 weighted and unweighted GPA. But he doesn't know what he wants to do for school yet. If you are at that position, what's the possibility in terms of entering CDEP? So he's not graduated yet, but he is about to.
Well, of course, he would have to make the application we could, he should apply to CDEP. That's number one, ask for the application. And then obviously should also apply to Fort Valley State University, because you have to be admitted to the university before anything can happen really in regards to CDEP. So simultaneously, you can go ahead and do those things. And then, of course, we would need his transcript or her transcript and all standardized scores. We would look at that and see how that meshes up with reference to financial support or scholarship. But ultimately, we'll also have to have the spring semester grade, which is going on now, you know, at the very end. So that's about it, really. Not unless Ms. Rashidi, I've overlooked something. But
I don't think
so you're saying they're graduating a year earlier because they've been taking extra courses in high school, or what?
He's not completely sure if it was that he was taking extra courses, but he says that he's fulfilled majority of the requirements except for 4 credits. So he only has to complete 4 credits and then he'll have everything he needs for his
For
diploma.
graduation?
Yeah,
Okay, well, that's okay. Just follow through. And let's see what we got there. I know that if they qualify for CDEP and we can find the funding, I'll tell you the truth, they cannot beat the program. They cannot beat the program.
okay. Yeah, so what we'll do is I'll connect him with at least Ms. Rashidi's contact information. He was explaining that he does have to take some night courses. And later on this, after we get through the rest of our presenters, I had already told him that I'm gonna sit down and be like, tell me about your whole entire life and academically so we can see what's going on right now.
Okay,
Thank you again, Dr. Crumbly, for answering the questions and giving all the information. It was phenomenal is the word of the day. It was phenomenal. And it was very helpful as well. I'm going to, if you'd like, since it's late, you can log off. And if there's any further questions, we'll just connect offline on Monday.
okay, that'll be fine.
Ask them. And if you want, you can always stay on until we're through. We are recording this session, and
Okay.
so we can share the recording later as well.
Okay, all righty. Well, thank you very much for your efforts. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. So Simon, you're next. Simon's gonna talk about her experience in the program currently. Going to college in a pandemic because she experienced both sides of it before and after, and also give some insight onto her degree program, well, what you're currently studying, what you have studied, and her future plans and things like that. And that may be helpful as you guys learn. Okay.
So are there like any like questions, just like how my journey to college? All stands aside. Yeah, but basically, how did you learn about CDEP? When did you make it to Fort Valley? What did you think of Fort Valley versus UNLV? Let's start there.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Diamond Clay. I attended Fort Valley for my biology degree, and I'm now attending UNLV for my health physics degree. Now, I learned about CDEP first because I was in MC, Mathematics, Science, Engineering Academy, which is a pre-collegiate program, which you start in the 8th grade and we continue through the 12th grade. Me and Haven were in that same program, but Sam was not. They'll tell you their stories. So that's how I learned about CDEP. And so starting CDEP, I had my older sister was actually in CDEP, Deja Clay. And she also did dual enrollment, and she also graduated from college 2 years early, because who wants to be in college longer than you're supposed to? So graduated from high school in 2017. I started CDEP summer of 2017, because you start summer classes because you have to graduate in 3 years. So you're loading up on these classes. But in my situation, it's a little bit different because I did dual enrollment versus my peers. I didn't have to load up on these classes. So comparing Fort Valley to UNLV, I like UNLV a whole lot better. Just perfect, like it's my preference to me. I like it better here. It really just depends. Why did you like it better?
I mean, Fort Valley is a small town in middle Georgia,
Yeah.
and
That's true.
Las Vegas is a really big small town, but more metropolitan.
HBCUs are the HBCUs are for certain people. For certain people, they're not. Just because I am a person, a, a Black person, doesn't mean I necessarily liked an HBCU.
Okay.
I feel like administration could have been better.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, it's like we like administration, but dealing with certain institutions, it could be like that. Hence why I like UNLV better. But that's just preference.
What do you think of the class size difference?
Well, actually,
Yeah,
yes,
when
it's
I got
smaller.
there, they were under 3,000.
Yeah, Fort Valley's smaller. I'm not for sure if it's bigger now, but I'm not for sure. 3,100.
Not so much.
That's 100 difference.
Yeah. Yeah, so we literally the city.
So funny story, actually, from being at UNLV, the class size versus Fort Valley is actually a lot smaller, but that is only being because of the major. Yeah, but then in health physics, it's only 3 of us in our classes. So yeah, it's only 3 of us. So it's a smaller class. So really class sizes weren't a difference. I will say the coursework and adjusting from coming to Fort Valley that first semester wasn't adjusting. Felt like I was fighting for my life that first semester. It wasn't too bad, but the coursework was different and it was like some getting used to.
Was it a different expectation from the professors?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There was absolutely, it was most definitely a different expectation. I wouldn't say it was harder. It's like Alexander said, it's a different expectation.
And then how was it being in school prior to COVID making the whole world shut down versus after?
So I'm a homebody anyway. If I feel like if you can teach it to me online and it's perfectly fine and I can ask you questions and still learn what I need to learn, then I like being in classes COVID, like during COVID. A lot of people might not say that, but I would say that. I like being.
What made you choose a particular degree program at UNLV? Because biology is more general, but you had options that you could go into from biology at UNLV. What did you choose? Physics.
So here's a thing that I would tell you before you choose it. If you're going to major in biology, there's only one thing that you can choose, and that is health physics. And you can only go to UNLV. But now that since they've branched off with Michigan, maybe you can go to college in Michigan. I'm not for sure what major you have to be.
Yeah, that's good.
But when I was graduating, UNLV, unless I just wanted to get the biology degree and leave, and you're not supposed to do that, unless you have to pay back the money that they paid for you while you were at Fort Valley. So I chose health physics because that was the only thing I could choose.
Yes. And move on to your other friends or colleagues. The first is, just for their knowledge, can you talk about all the different degree programs you could go into from health physics? Because I feel like that's not a program widely known. Everybody knows a biology major or a chemistry major, etc. But health physics is real.
It is very okay. So if you don't know what health physics is, with health physics, we basically are thinking about protecting the public from radiation. So when we think of radiation, I have gotten a lot like, do you slap cell phones out of people's hands? No, cell phones have radiation, but it's a different type of radiation that doesn't have enough energy to actually break DNA strands. So us as health physics majors, we deal with testing dose exposure rates of radiation. So in health physics, so you're in Nevada, you have the Nevada test site, you have Area 51. A lot of health physicists work out to those sites.
Okay. And then the last question is, do you plan on going straight into a career after this degree or into another school program?
So I actually don't plan on working in health physics. We can discuss this later and I can tell you guys the program and all the program details that I'm accepted in and will start during the summer. But it's a totally different career path than health physics.
Will the knowledge that you learn in your 2 degrees help you in the next one?
My biology degree will help me in the next one. My health physics degree will not.
Thank you, Diamond. I
No problem.
appreciate it. Let's have Haven come up. You're closest.
Hey, so we're gonna have a total of 3 current CDEP students speak, and the questions will follow along the same lines.
I always speak out loud, somebody can speak up, so just let me know. Yes.
They can hear you as long as you stay into the computer.
Okay. Oh, I did look down. Okay,
Just-
that's weird.
It doesn't matter where you look. If you want, you can look at them.
Okay.
You know, physical people.
All right, cool. So my name's Haven. I'm also a health physics major. I majored in chemistry at Fort Valley State. So kind of similar, but we had different backgrounds.
And so, where are you from originally?
I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia. So Fort Valley wasn't too far away. It was like 100 miles from my home. So I went home fairly often.
Okay. Now, different question. Is Diamond, you're from Middle Georgia, right? South Georgia, but it was a smaller. Okay. But you're from more metropolitan area. How was it going from a more metropolitan area to Fort Valley and then from Fort Valley to Las Vegas, which is very different?
Okay, so I say Atlanta. Technically, I'm from Atlanta. When I tell other people from Atlanta that I'm from Atlanta, they say, no, you're not.
Okay, what county and city are you from?
Tucker, so it's like
Okay.
DeKalb County. It's a smaller part of Atlanta. I liked Fort Valley. Like, it was smaller, and I enjoyed that compared to the larger school that UNLV is. So I prefer the HBCU environment. It was more, I would say, more friendly, like more family oriented to me. UNLV is just a little bit larger, kind of get lost in it, at least from my perspective.
Okay. Major chemistry. How has chemistry helped you with health physics? Has it helped you with health physics?
Chemistry, not really. So chemistry, you look at the atoms themselves, the properties, but health physics, you always look at the effects. So it's slightly different. It helped a little bit as far as background information, but for the most part, it was a new degree.
But, what year did you graduate high school?
I'm gonna sound old, 2017 also.
I can't say that. I'm graduating in 2040.
I'm sorry.
I'm just want to say that.
My bad.
Like, I left Fort Valley in 2018.
That's not bad.
I'm just saying, like, you're like, oh, I'm old. No. My question, regarding, well, I have a few questions. The first is, how was it being in school? And so what year did you get to UNLV?
So we all got here in 2020, the end of 2020.
The end of 2020.
Yeah.
So you guys started UNLV during the pandemic, during online. Okay. So how was it going from classes to pandemic structure to now classes opening up again? So in person, online, back to in person.
I prefer in person personally. I'm not really a virtual learner. I've noticed I need to be there, otherwise I'm probably not going to learn it when I understand.
That's fair. You know, if I don't see you. Yeah. Okay. So just more questions. Just hang on. Do you plan on leaving UNLV to go into a career or into another program?
So I'm staying here. I've applied to the graduate program here for environmental health physics,
Okay.
and we'll see what they say pretty soon. But I'm probably gonna stay here for the next couple of years.
Ooh, yay. Okay, and then the last thing is, it's gonna be slightly different from Diamond. Your relationship with professors at Fort Valley versus your relationship with professors that teach you, maybe not Dr. Joe. At UNLV, what was that like? How did it differ? What do you think worked best for you? So example, Dr. Lewis, Dr. Daniels, all of them versus, I don't know who's at UNLV, I didn't know that.
So again, because of COVID, we were virtual for a lot of it. So I've only really met one or two of my professors here, but I know them decently well. I definitely knew my Fort Valley professors better. There's only a few classes really, so you had the same professor multiple times. You got to know them, smaller class sizes, and more people instead of just a teacher.
Find it useful to pipeline,
Oh.
having met Dr. J, and met Dr. J and Dr. Crumley, and going through CDEP all the way to where you are now. Do you feel like it was worth it for you?
Oh, definitely. I
Okay.
mean, I got a degree for free. I'm getting another one for free. Like
That's
you
a
can't
big
beat that.
thing.
Yeah.
My
Like,
student loans are very sad. So you guys did great. Thank you, Hayden. I appreciate it. Sam, you're next. Is this information helpful to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like interesting enough. Okay. What magnet program are you in? Okay. You got one of this today, so.
Samuel LaFleur, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 10 minutes up the road from Haven. Through high school, I was about to graduate high school. I was interested in math, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And I actually had a math teacher whose class I was in. She told me to get out of her class and go take the AP class instead, but she also told me about the CDEP program and told me to apply. And so when she told me to apply, I applied, got accepted, got the scholarship, and math was one of the options. So I chose math, but I didn't know what I wanted my second degree to be. Originally, it was civil engineering, but more and more I found out about civil engineering. I found it interesting, but not necessarily what I wanted to do. And so then I met Dr. Carr, Dr. Dietrich Carr, and kind of exposed me to geology. And so from there, I knew I wanted my second degree to be geology. So left Fort Valley after graduating a math degree, came out here, started focusing on geology. But because Dr. Carr has to take so many geology classes there at Fort Valley, I had extra time. I picked up a minor in finance. That was for two reasons. One, in case you want to go into corporate, finance is always important to have. And number two, for your own personal reasons. If you can learn about money and investments for your own personal gain, time and opportunity.
Okay, so a few questions. First, can you explain what geology is for the students?
Geology. So geology is a part of the geosciences, and geo means earth. So geology specifically focuses on rocks, earthquakes, chemical compositions of these rocks. There's also hydrology, focus on water movement, pretty much anything to do with the earth. There's atmospheric science and stuff like that.
This is kind of self-serving question. You guys ever look into all the fault lines this valley is on?
What we do.
Did you coincidentally, side note question, did you guys look into the fact that Clark County said that Tesla could build an underground tunnel?
There's no actual, so there's fault in the valley, but there's none underneath where our city is because most of the land on the city is.
Okay, just. That's really cool. Very cool. Because the only reason I chose it was at that time for you wanted to do geoscience. So you can come in and come in like Las Vegas or Oklahoma. Where will I do this week better? Okay. That is interesting. That's super cool. It's like, and it was like, if you want this money, sometimes it's what you need. You don't have it. Sometimes I can force the signal is the best. A lot of times it's not really about looking at a passion for. A lot of times passion is passion is what you have a hobby. Sometimes you forget what you really sometimes will have you living in your car. You have to really understand that
to make it with that, like, yes, you can see one YouTube, one Instagram influencer. If you want somebody to have a vested interest in what you like to do a lot, unless you have been a savant and you have been found and somebody's invested in you, that's probably so that you can finesse and actually. So a lot of times, I see a lot of the talk that it's even on what you passionate about. And you want to every day. I don't jump on my bed to work because I have a passion for it. I should jump on my bed because I love my house. And I think the car is right for it. And I need to keep that. I need to keep it. And what I would love to do have a passion for, I do it. I want to. I do those kind of things. If I do a good job, it forces me to have good hobbies and to do those more frequently. So it's really about just being knowing that it's not going to be unless I'm just saying there are things that I'm not trying to fix. But
What's your question?
So, my parents would show me that too, because I would always think that. Because I've been in this for the
and it's about also being open-minded about what you want to do. Want to dance? Are you willing to not be the person? Are you willing to be the person that was what is honest? But there's so many. If you're not just into just I want to be that person, I'm willing to be. He wants to be something that lighting and everything. So we're full focus writing like it. He's not trying to do like thing down. If that happens, then fine. But it's about also opening your mind. I think it's the whole aspect of it. I can't want to live this type of way because in this field, I have to say, hey, what's right for me? And that's a hard thing to do, especially because you say what everybody else has. So if you're going to live your life in the field, you have to be like yourself for yourself. Then of course, a lot of the dreams and the things that you have for yourself is just about being realistic about what things are. And the greatest thing that exists now is research. What things are paid, how much things are costing to live, all of that. You kind of work backwards into that.
So we're gonna finish this question, the questions I have for you. And I know you have a question. I hope you remember it still. Okay, great. You gave us a background of where you're from, what you were interested in math, which is how you learned about CDEP, and then you did math degree, now you're doing geology with the minor in finance. How was it going from the Atlanta area to Fort Valley to Las Vegas or Clark County?
So the high school I came from had, I think we were 1,800 and 1,900 by the time I left, so a pretty big school. Going up to Fort Valley, about 1,000 more students. I never lived that far out in the country before, but I kind of enjoyed it. To what Avon said, it's a family environment. It might be because it's the HBCU, it's a smaller school, but you're gonna get to know your professors, you're gonna get to know everybody on campus, you're gonna run into people on campus over and over again. They're gonna see you, whether or not you try and see them or not. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I like the country roads. I like the openness, the small school environment. It was fun. Coming out to UNLV, it felt like not exactly like Atlanta because the roads are set up different, but you're back in the city, you're back seeing people, you're back there actually waiting in traffic. But I enjoyed UNLV. I do miss Fort Valley and HBCU experience because it is a one-time experience. It can't be really created anywhere else.
Okay.
Um, the first is, do you intend to go into another program or career after
So
this?
after I leave UNLV, I will be going to Georgia Tech for my master's. I got accepted and I have to accept the application, but yeah, I'm going to. I already have my final.
Well, kind of a second follow-up question I didn't ask you guys. Do you imagine yourself possibly coming to back to Las Vegas after going back to Georgia?
For me, it depends. So part of the reason why I'm going to Georgia Tech, the research area and focus were there. They had a professor that was interested in my area of research. They had a project specifically that was like tailored to my areas of research. But if there's an opportunity in Las Vegas with the professor that I'm interested in the research, or like as a career, as long as it's in the field that I'm interested in, I don't know if I'll go back to Vegas.
And then, the second question that I asked, it's fine. Well, I guess the question that came to mind, and then we'll go to the questions in the room. Well, I didn't, what is your area of focus in geology?
So I specifically focus on geophysics, specifically the stenosphere and lithospheric interactions. So these are large scale tectonic processes that subduction and convergence. Yeah.
Okay,
It's math and geology.
I was gonna say, bring it down for the person.
Imagine like seismology, hydrology is also a part of geophysics, and like magnetometry.
You guys know what seismology is?
So
Tell them what seismology is.
you all know what earthquakes are, right? So we have continents that's on different blocks. So these blocks will rub against each other. And as you rub two things together, you have your friction. Friction is going to start to hold these things in place, but as they slide apart, that's the energy source that's released as they slide like across each other. And that's where the earthquakes come from.
So he studies that and the movement of water in the earth, to simplify it.
So in Las Vegas, there's 3 soil horizons, A, B, and C. A is your sand, B is your calcite and leaching deposit. So what happens is water soaks into the ground, and there's natural carbonates that exist in the ground. But what happens, water is a solvent, so it's going to take like, you ever put salt in salt water and see how it disappears? Same thing. But once water evaporates, the salt can't go up into the air with the water. So now what happens is that there's a layer left behind that's evaporated calcite, and that's what caliche is, and it's deeper down in the ground because at this point the water's trying to creep, but eventually it's going to have to evaporate, and that's below the other soil. Yeah, it's all throughout Las Vegas, all throughout the valley.
Thank you, Sam, and we're gonna move to the questions in the room.
So as an investor in properties, the biggest have a chance of I'm not gonna do it. So my questions are, so it's a 3-year program that together.
Yeah, that was gonna be the next part that we looked at.
Required to go to that. And then it's a 3
So far, it's 3 years at Georgia and 2 years at So 3 years for undergraduate in Georgia, 2 years for second undergraduate at UNLV. However, in the future, the GED for 3 years in Georgia for undergrad, 2 years at the partner institution for graduate degree. So that is changing because right now, we want 2 Yes, so the scholarship program is changing as well, so we moving, maybe moving more for, graduate program.
Right.
It's more beneficial for students to earn graduate degree instead of second undergrad. So free custody is still free custody.
And is there a lot of degree options for this? I mean, STEM is pretty big, but
So far into, the sciences, it's to be public, plus this energy program, so governments are sponsors are coming from the energy program, so they can just take, geoscience, all the widespread energy program, so major, so, geoscience is usually in our case.
So at Fort Valley, there's a lot of different programs that can fall into STEM, that initial degree. And then depending on what partnership institution you go to, like needs options, it's very specific at that partner school for that second part. So a good example is, Simon's biology, Hayden's chemistry, your math, and I'm animal science. I wasn't in CDEP. I didn't learn about it until I went to Fort Valley, and then I got kind of entering into a whole bunch of other programs, and I kind of never it's Dr. Crumley's office. But animal science is also a STEM degree, falls under that, and there's a multitude of different options. The thing is that you also want to choose something that will pair with that second degree program, ideally.
if you know ahead of time, that you know, if there are options ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, that partner with you and stuff like that as well, or?
Yeah, so the program was initially between, Fort Valley State University and the Department of Energy, the National, Federal Department of Energy. Department of Energy is still involved, but now there are partnership institutions and other corporations that also have different functions within the pipeline as well. So, UNLV was the first partnership institution in 1992. And then there's other schools. I don't know the years, but if I remember correctly, UNLV, Georgia Tech, University of Arkansas, Penn State, University of Texas, and Austin. Yep.
And are we having a hard time, or do you have lots for these jobs?
I have to tell you, competition is around partner institutions. Partner institution are 100% scholarship. And of course, most of the students will choose other universities 100%. Not every single institution can afford.
I wasn't talking about school, I was talking about actual jobs.
Jobs, I have to tell you, every single student has, every single one of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Not even,
It's
every
very
single one
important.
of them, every single one of them has phenomenal, intentions throughout. Every single person is phenomenal. For your whole career, I've never had a call, that, are they taking care of you over there, can you take care of? And it's always that, are they more? And the contract is that usually when you get injection. Marketing job. And then I go to graduation. She said, no. They like, because that's what it is. They like to, they invest in you. So mine as well, they have it. So, I follow my students on LinkedIn. You'll see all this.
just, just posted a picture of me doing the first auto, the first bottle of auto. On the video. So she's gonna be designing.
What's really cool about Fort Valley and then the relationships that they would have at UNLV, and especially with Dr. Tazerska. And I think they mentioned it, is that you have professors that you can rely on. So if you're not so sure, you could go back to Dr. J, and you could go back to one of the Fort Valley professors and ask about it. I know I've done that in my own career path. I had texted Dr. Holmes, but that's what I'm thinking about taking her message. Yeah, so it's
When you have a Jewish school of 30,000 students. Just not a 30,000 students. 30,000 students. You know, you train with them to
one of 3,000.
So right now we have 8. That's just a small number of students. It's a problem. You don't have to sit around and talk to them. So you have this. It's a text message. You just constantly go back and forth with something when you guys really talk to each other. That's how you can be good. And that's how I know what's going on. Something that's whoever I need to talk to. So this is a pipeline. It's a lifeline. That's how it is.
And you guys are in meetings and training about it.
That's how we need to do it. The way, but it's the only way to find a lifeline like this. To study, to see this. Something goes back. You don't have a life. You see this. Not since in high school. You have one of 30,000 students somewhere in there. Probably that much. This is mostly because money is a business like that. So much money that in scholarships. Every single year because we used to where to find this, how to get to this money. So you need to figure this out. How do you figure this out? Don't understand. So you're understanding your achievements, your volunteer involvement in high school. Those things people really have to think about. Law schools, medical schools, whatever you're applying for, they can't for. Because it's like it's them, whatever it takes, the accolades, accomplishments they have, whatever they have. They have abilities. So high school is very professional, but we're going to be serious in high school.
And speaking about academics and letters of recommendation, let's go through the admissions real quick. You can also find out the information online on the website. This website will, we're gonna share it with leaders in training. You know, did you guys come with leaders in training or just because you heard about it? Oh, you're with Sappy. They emailed me. Okay, I'll make sure to share all the information. Okay. Few things. So if you meet the requirements for CDEP, then you meet the requirements for Fort Valley. Yes, so you have to apply to Fort Valley in order for you to be, in order for you to enter CDEP. So you have to do two applications. The first is to the institution, the second is to the program. Both of them are, you can access online. So Fort Valley, well, I'm gonna start with the CDEP requirements. Because Fort Valley's minimum GPA to be admitted is a 2.5. CDEP's minimum GPA is a 3.5. So there's a difference between the two. And with CDEP, they require a 1170 on the SAT and a 26 or at least a 570 in the math, and then a 26 on the ACT. You have to complete your FAFSA. If you're with leaders in training, they're gonna help you do that. I don't know if SAFI helps with FAFSA, but I would, if not, that's. Okay, so sometimes FAFSA can get a little interesting. Yeah, just it becomes a little interesting. Don't forget your password. That's just a recommendation. Remember that. And you also need to submit your transcripts. That's for both Fort Valley and CDEP, and you'll have to submit 2 letters of recommendation for the CDEP program if you're interested. So what I wanted to do real quick is see if you guys have any questions about college in general, CDEP, anything you've heard tonight, or anything that piqued your interest along the way. Or if you guys might be interested in hearing more information about all the different STEM programs or career paths that are out there, because I know a lot of people tend to think of just like a professor, a doctor, and a pharmacist or a chemist, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more out there in the world for you to think about. Questions? No questions? Nope. Okay. So I mean, definitely share. Well, then it is 7:09. I want to give Dr. J a brief second to talk about the 2 pipelines. Okay, and then we'll wrap up. I'll grab Yvette from the next room over, and I'll just say goodnight and happy weekend.
Guys, that's very important to let you know. I'm the principal investigator for 2 federal grants. So one is Get Up Aspire, and the other one, I think it's gonna be very interesting for you, is the National Summer Transportation Institute. It's all about STEM and engineering. Let me start from NSTI, the National Summer Transportation Institute. Every single year, I organize summer camp on UNLV campus, and it's 2 weeks. I'm coming back this time, 2 weeks on UNLV campus. This year it's going, we are actually coming back to be in person, because last year was hybrid, online, and nobody liked it, me neither. It was very difficult to have virtual field trips, all the activities are online for 2 weeks for high school students. So we're coming back to our own routine. July 17th through July 30th. It's highly competitive. I'm accepting rising sophomores, rising juniors and seniors. I can only take this year 16 students from the entire state of Nevada. Application will be available most likely in 2 weeks around March 16th. you'll see that it will be posted on website of my program, on your website, multicultural program. You can find it easily. You have my contact information. You can also, my program has Facebook page, which will be also, you can find this information as well. I highly encourage you to apply because I can assure you 2 weeks, you're living in a dorm. And for 2 weeks, you breathing, you living engineering from 6 o'clock in the morning until probably 10 o'clock at night, every single day during weekends. You don't go back to home. You're spending all 2 weeks with us, with my students, and lots of faculty members, a lot of business partners from different engineering groups, workplaces with our Las Vegas. You're going to be building live projects. You'll be working with experts and engineers and working on lab activities. We don't know what project we will be picking up this year yet, but all of this just simply working as we speak. So anyway, summer camp, engineering camp is coming live this summer. The second grant is GitUp Aspire. It's the sub-award of very known GitUp program. Aspire is dedicated to STEM engineering, and this is for middle schoolers, 7th grade and 8th grades, and also high school, and then first year of college. So we are starting in getting into pipeline students from 7th, 8th grades. Then we follow them throughout high school, and then we are also supporting them first year of college. So if you guys interested in this program, also please contact us and direct a person who is leading this program is Nicole Stella. You'll receive this information here today. Follow directly with Nicole. She will be very happy to talk to you. So anyway, information on those both programs and on the multicultural program and GitUp Aspire website and also Facebook. So thank you so much.
Thank you to everyone on the Zoom. I'm going to end it now. A recording of today's session will be available online within the next 2 weeks, next 14 days. And we will also send it out via email. Thank you to the future people who will listen to this on our YouTube channel. And everyone have a good night.